little bit about what he's going to do today.
Inside this box is a mighty laser. And the best way to demonstrate this mighty laser is by zapping a first grader. Who thinks zapping a first grader is a good idea? Now raise your hand if you think zapping a first grader with a mighty laser is a great idea. Okay, now who thinks that zapping a first grader with a laser is a horrible idea? It looks like the majority of you believe that zapping a first grader with a laser is a great idea. Okay, so Zoe, come on up here. First of all, why don't you show Zoe some love? Count to 3. Say, zap the Zoe. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Zap the Zoe. Awesome. Okay, before we zap the Zoe, it is very important that you wear. These are not sunglasses. These are protective laser goggles. When people work with lasers, there's a big danger that the laser can damage your eyes. So they all wear protective laser goggles. So once again, this is not sunglasses. These are protective laser goggles. Okay? But she does look cool. Okay, so now Zoe, why don't you go over onto the plastic and turn towards me a little bit. All right. So the first question I have to ask you, Zoe, very important. Has your parent signed the permission slip saying that it's okay to zap you with a laser?
I'm your daughter.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay. And once again, please note, do not play with lasers on your own. We're going to take all questions at the end, okay? All questions at the end. And are you ready for this, Zoe? This is a mighty laser in this box. Okay. All right. Protective gear as well. I also need some protective gear as well. So Zoe's got her safety goggles on. I'm putting on my safety cape. Hold on.
And Darth Vader's mask.
And my protective headgear. Zoe, you are my daughter. I always want to say that. Okay, so now, to get the laser out of the box. Is everybody ready?
Yeah!
Okay.
It's not going to be that special.
Zoe, prepare to meet your doom. I mean, actually, you'll be fine. No worries.
What?
Okay, Zoe, are you ready? Okay, here comes the laser.
It's just a...
And this is a real laser. And I am moving it back and forth on her stomach. Now, Zoe, do you feel like you're being sawed in half?
No.
Okay, let me get a little closer. Do you feel like you're being sawed in half? Do you feel like your shirt is getting warm?
No.
Foiled by a first grader!
I have one of those.
So the question is, why didn't I saw Zoe in half, and what's going on inside of this laser pointer? So let me work it up to that, and then I'll take people raising hands and answering questions. You're gonna have a lot of time to participate. And Zoe, you can sit back down. Thank you very much, Zoe. Give Zoe a round of applause. Okay. So first of all, what's inside of my laser pointer? What's generating that laser squad? So the best way to find that out is to rip open this laser pointer.
Yeah.
But I'm not strong enough to do that. So let me just move on to the next slide. So inside the laser pointer is what's called a laser diode cam. And this over here, I don't know if you can see it well, is a laser diode cam. So if I ripped open my laser pointer, that's what's inside. And over here is the window that the laser light comes out of. But what's inside of the laser diode cam? Let's rip this open! I'm not strong enough to do that either, so let's go to the next slide. Inside of the laser diode cam is a laser chip right over here. And it's very, very teeny. And actually, I have exactly what I'm showing on the screen, and I can show it to you in person so you can see that as well. So this is the laser diode can with the top ripped off. And this part over here you can't even see because you have to get really, really close to see it. Over on this part is the actual laser chip. And the laser beam comes out of the front part of that laser chip. And let me show you how small that laser chip is. This is a quarter, and those are laser chips. So the laser chips are about 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. I don't know if you know how small a millimeter is, but it's really, 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 really teeny. Yeah, very, very teeny. And actually, later on, if you have some time, I can show you, it's hard to show it here, what the laser chips look like in person, because I have the real laser chips with me here today. Okay, so what's happening inside the laser chip is where all the magic happens. Where we're making what are called photons. It's photons with a P, not with an F, okay? And I need some help to make a laser chip. So I need somebody to answer actually a question for me. What is a good thing for light to reflect off of? Does anybody know what's a good thing for light to reflect off of? Okay, you please? Exactly. So why don't you come up here? Do you want to participate? And you can be one of the mirrors. Okay, show everybody your beautiful mirrors. Okay, you're looking very fashionable there. Very fashionable.
And what's with this?
Okay, please. All right, so I need another mirror for my laser chip, and I need somebody to answer me another question. The other question is, what does the gain medium in the center of the laser chip convert into photons or light? Photon is a particle of light. So what do you think it converts? And let me give you a hint. Guess what might run my laser pointer? You seem like you might know. What?
Heat.
Heat is a good guess, but that's not correct. Yes.
Is it light?
It converts something into light. And this is your hint here. What do you think it takes and converts it into light?
Like some kind of minuscule battery?
But what's inside of a minuscule battery? Yes?
Energy.
Yes, exactly. Energy in the form of electricity. Yes, come on up. You can be one of the mirrors. Come on up. Okay, you get to wear the cool glasses as well. There we go. Okay.
You already have glasses on your
And, these guys here are what we call the ends of an etalon. So they're two mirrors, and I'll show you in a second what they do. But I need one more thing to be able to build a laser chip. And before you raise your hand, you should at least know what I need. So I am a little bit follically challenged. I don't have very much hair, but I need one human hair. Can somebody give me just one human hair? Not everybody, I got pictures. So, Bishop, sir, can you pull one? Just one hair. All I need is one hair. No, I got it. Here we go. All right. Have I got it? Wait, hold on. Do I have it? Uh-oh.
No, you just pulled up this one.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, can everybody see this hair? Yeah. Use it during the presentation. And then, can everybody see the tip of this hair? Because that's the important part that I'm going to... Well, if you can imagine what the tip of that hair looks like. I'm probably going to lose it, but let me put it on the table and hopefully I won't lose it. So I'll put it right over here. Okay. I'm losing my teeth. I'll put it on upside down. Am I upside down, please? Okay. So there. Okay. So these guys, as I said before, are what's called an etalon. They're the edges of the laser chip. And in the middle, all throughout the middle of the laser chip, is what's called gain medium. And the gain medium, as we learned just a few seconds ago, converts electricity or electrons into photons or particles of light. So particles of electricity get turned into particles of light. So as electricity excites the gain medium emits excited photons. So they're so excited they come out doing the floss. Wait, hold on. My floss is over here. Wait a second. There we go. They come out doing the floss. Okay, ew, wow. All right, so enough of the floss. But they come out of the gain medium in one specific color. And the photons don't know where to go, so they head in a direction. And there's a whole bunch of photons. And they head towards, what's your name? Anna. They head towards Anna. Boop, doop, doop. They're dancing around doing flaws, and they bounce off of that mirror, and they go back through the gain medium. And the gain medium not only is excited by electricity, but is also excited by light. So as I go through the gain medium as a photon, many more photons come out, all doing the floss too. So there's even more. And then I hit this mirror over here. Wait, what's your name? Kobe. I hit Kobe. And I reflect off of Kobe's mirror, and I go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and there are gazillions of photons inside this etalon. But how do we get out?
A second mirror.
So we go out through a very, very small opening, and that's why I needed the human hair. Because the opening I'm going through, and I can't even see the hair, I'm not sure if I have it. Is it there? Yeah, there it is as small as the tip of a human hair, and sometimes even smaller. So it's like me going through the belly button of Kobe or something. And it's not really an opening, it's actually just a slightly less reflective part of the mirror, and all of the photons that can make their way out go out through that teeny, teeny little hole. Now keep this in mind because I'm going to come back to this later. This teeny, teeny little hole. So does everybody understand how it works? I'm going to do it one more time for you. Gain medium gets excited from electricity. Photons going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, building up lots and lots of photons until they start escaping through Kobe's belly button. And then they go out in a beam that looks like a laser beam. Now, not all gain medium is like in a chip form. There's also gain medium that can be gas or fibers or crystals. There's all different types of gain medium. So I'm just telling you about one type of laser. But this is the most popular and the coolest. All right, so I'll take those glasses back, please. And you guys can take your seat. Thank you very much. Everybody give a round of applause to my mirror and the Etalon. The Etalon team. Okay. All right. So now you understand that there are some things called laser chips. And the question, and this is a good question for you guys, is where do these laser chips come from? Is it A? And I want you guys to raise your hands if you think it's A, B, or C. A, fall from the sky. I'm walking along, boom, boom, oh, I get hit by a whole bunch of laser chips. Is that, you think that's where it comes from? We got a couple, okay. People who look like marshmallows make them. Who thinks that's it? Okay, we got a few more takers. Good. Grown in a field. Grown in a field. Who thinks laser chips are grown in a field? So it's kind of even between marshmallows and grown in a field, I think. Let's see what the right answer is. And the right answer is marshmallows make them. And this, oh my God, this guy is hilarious. He is not only Marshmallow Guy number 2, he's Marshmallow Guy number 2 with glasses! Okay, so the question is, why are these people dressed up like marshmallows? Does anybody have any ideas? Okay, so, let's see, we have way in the back.
To protect themselves.
That is a great answer. In fact, my mom gave that exact answer when I did my practice presentation, and you know what? Unfortunately, you're wrong, like my mom was. But you're right, it could be, very well it could be. What's another reason? And it's related to not protecting themselves, but maybe protecting something else. Okay, Theo?
I think they're wearing it, it's so that they don't, like, damage the laser chips.
Exactly. The laser chips are really, really, really teeny. And they're so small that if you get a little bit of dust or hair or something on them, they're completely ruined. And this machine over here, the way you make the laser chips is it actually deposits a very, very thin layer of material on top of a wafer that looks like this. So the thin layer of material is so thin. I don't know if you guys know about atoms, but it's just a few atoms thick. And they deposit many, many layers of atoms. And if dust or human hair or anything gets on it, it's ruined. So you got to make sure it's a very, very clean environment. What do you think that they call these rooms? Does anybody? And you guys probably have messy rooms at home. Does anybody know where you think that they would make laser chips? Yes. A clean room. That's exactly right. People in marshmallow suits in clean rooms are making these laser chips. And this is a blank wafer, which is how it gets started. And then eventually you get a wafer full of chips, and then you dice them up into little pieces, and then you get these little chips that are teeny weeny little cute chips. Questions at the end. Questions at the end. Okay, so this is a very important question. Why couldn't I cut Zoe in half? I really wanted to. I was excited to cut her in half. I thought that was what was going to happen, and it didn't work. Why couldn't I cut her in half? Raise your hands if you think you know why I couldn't cut her in half. London, yes.
I kind of think it's because that laser is just like a laser pointer and not a real laser.
Well, actually, that's a very, very interesting point that you make. The laser pointer is a real laser, but there's some difference between the laser that I was using and maybe other lasers you might have seen in movies. In fact, my laser is a lot more real than the one you might see in movies. Yes?
The laser isn't as strong as
That's exactly right. It's not as strong. That is, and there's a term for this that starts with a P. You know, power. Yes, that's exactly. Okay, well, you have to raise your hand. Raise your hand. Somebody raise their hand and say, and yes, wait, over there with the glasses on your shirt. Yep, for you. Yep.
Me?
Yep, and John. Huh?
Power.
Power, exactly. Good. You only accept answers when you raise your hand. Power. So let's find out how much power comes out of my laser beam. And I hear you guys are doing fractions, so this is a great way to practice your fractions. If you zoom in, and this thing were actually in focus, you would see that it says 4 milliwatts. And a milli is kind of like a millimeter. It's a thousandth of a watt. So is 4,000th of a watt, is that a big number or a small number?
Small. Tiny.
Tiny, super, super tiny. In fact, if you were to take $1, a penny is 100th of a dollar. A half a penny is the equivalent to 4,000th of a dollar, or 5,000ths of a dollar, to be exact. So this is tiny. And a watt is a unit of power. What is a unit of power? A
Watt.
what?
Watt.
So it's watt, not W-H-A-T, but W-A-T-T. Little joke. Anyway, so how powerful is a light bulb in your house? Does anybody know what a typical light bulb might run in your house as far as wattage? Yes, you with the pink shirt. How many watts? If you're not sure, just take a guess. How many watts do you think it is? What'd you say? 200, exactly. There are light bulbs in my house that are 200 watts. You're right on. Good job. Okay.
I have one 400.
The one I'm going to show here today is a 60-watt light bulb, which is, there are 200, 160, they're all different types. This 60-watt light bulb is 10,000 times more powerful than my laser pointer. 10,000. And to put that into perspective, a half an inch is to a football field as my laser pointer is to one of the weaker light bulbs you'll find around a house. So then, here's the question. What did I do with my laser pointer? Hold on. I've lost one of my laser pointers. I'll use, oh, here it is. So, if this laser pointer is so darn wimpy, why can you see it so intensely, whereas a light bulb, you can't see that intensely? What's the reason why a wimpy laser pointer like mine can end up being so intense? Let's see, who haven't I called? Oh, yes, you with the food.
Because it's the only one there's no light in the room, and it's the only thing that's shining.
That's a good guess. That's a good guess. But think a little bit about that hair that I pulled out. Yes, you with the blue shirt. Well, more focused, but it also think about. Well, let's think in terms of the light bulb first. So where does the light come out of the light bulb? You can still from where? From a little teeny spot of the bulb or the whole? The whole bulb. And when it comes out of my laser chip, does it? When it comes out of my laser chip, does it come out of the whole laser chip or just one small part of the laser chip? Yeah. Okay. All right. And there'll be plenty of opportunity for other people to answer too. Okay, so let's go back to my laser chip, and remember, there's a teeny little opening there, and here's exactly what's your name? Griffin? What Griffin was saying. So laser chip has the light coming out of a teeny little opening, and the light bulb has light coming out of the whole entire bulb. So, and the person who said it's more concentrated, which I think you said, is exactly right. So the danger, and this is a big danger. Everybody put your hands down, because questions at the end. The big danger with lasers is that they come out of a teeny little opening. So if you are looking at the laser beam, it can focus down to your eye and blind you. And this is a really important thing. If you take nothing else away from this presentation, even a laser pointer is dangerous for your eye because it comes out of such a small spot and can be focused down onto a small spot on your retina and burn a hole in your retina and cause blindness in a portion of your visual field. So never ever play around with lasers, and really don't play around with them near your eyes. The only reason I did that with Zoe was that I had protective eye gear on her, but laser pointers are not to be fooled around with because you can go blind if you look at them. Okay? So, and the light bulb, it's hard to go blind with the light bulb, but it'll hurt your eyes. Okay, so our lasers, we'll take all the questions at the end. Our lasers, like the ones that cut materials, for example, like metal, are they real or make-believe just in movies? Who thinks that lasers that cut metal are make-believe? Who thinks lasers that cut metal are make-believe? And blow up spaceships and things like that. Okay. Who thinks lasers that cut metal are real? Okay. So let's see if there are lasers that cut metal. Hold on.
Oh man, that's.
This is a laser that cuts metal. And look at how quickly it cuts it too.
It's a laser cutter.
We'll leave this on for just a few seconds. This is very real.
He's just trying to do whatever he wants.
That's a machine.
All right. So how powerful do you think that laser is? Does anybody have any guesses as to how powerful? My laser pointer was 4,000th of a watt. The light bulb is like 60 to 200 watts. How powerful is that machine? Okay, in the back, the gray shirt. Yes, you. Yep. Go for it.
A lot more.
Say again.
A lot more than yours.
Yeah, a lot more, but give me a number. I want a number. Give me a number, please. How many watts? It's got to be more than 4,000th. Maybe it's 60. I don't know. Is it? Give me a number. Any number. Throw it out there.
7.
Say again. 7 watts.
70.
Oh, 70 watts. That's a good guess. That's a good guess, but it's more powerful than that. Yes, you in the gold shirt. How many watts?
7,000.
70. Exactly. Exactly. Whoa. Did she see my presentation? That's amazing. How did she know that? 70,000? Is that what you said? Okay. So there's a company called IPG that's not that far from here, and they make industrial lasers like the one that you saw cutting the metal. And their lasers go from 1 kilowatt. A kilowatt is 1,000, like a kilometer is 1,000 meters. This is 1,000 watts, up to 500,000 watts. So anywhere between, and I don't know how exactly powerful that machine was that was cutting the metal, but let's assume that it was 500,000 watts, which is very, very powerful. That's 10,000 times more powerful than my light bulb. 10,000. So as my laser pointer is to the light bulb is to one of these industrial lasers. So then the question is, are these the most powerful lasers around, or is there something more powerful? And who thinks there's a more powerful laser? Raise your hand if you think there are more powerful lasers to this. And you are right, there are more powerful lasers than this. Can anybody give a guess as to what the most powerful laser in the world is and how many watts that is? Yes, you. 1 million watts. That is a great guess, but it turns out you're too low. Anybody come up with a bigger number than 1 million?
1 million.
Wait, no, raise your hands. I don't hear anybody until you raise your hands. Yes, you with the green and white shirt. How many watts? A trillion. You're close, but it's bigger. Can anybody give me a number bigger than 1 trillion? Okay, you with the blackish shirt in the back. Yes, that's you.
Quadrillion.
Oh my God, you've seen my presentation. There it is. This is the most powerful laser that is in the earth today. It's located in Osaka, Japan, and it is a 2, and it's called PETA. PETA means quadrillion watt laser. It only pulses for 1/trillionth of a second, so for a teeny amount of time, but boy, it packs a punch. So I'm getting this for my birthday. My wife told me I'm going to get it when I turn 51, and Zoe, you are in trouble! So if you're an evil villain, you want to get a 2 petawatt laser. That's what you want. Anyway.
Good idea. I'll try that.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to show some lasers in action.
Whoa. That actually cut?
Okay, guys, I need your attention if you want to see lasers in action. So I'm going to run over here. Okay, everybody, everybody, look over here. I work for a company that makes, and I work for several companies, but one company that makes very special lenses. And you have to really look carefully because it's not quite as dark as I was hoping. This is the laser pointer I showed before. This is one of these special lenses that this company makes. Watch what happens when I take this laser pointer and shoot it through this material.
Whoa.
It's the...
It changes.
It changes. Now, let's see.
I like the earth one.
Yeah, let's do the earth one more time. Whoa. Everybody see that okay? All right, so let me move over some people. Okay, can somebody take a look at this lens here and tell me if they can see these patterns on this piece of plastic? I want to have somebody who hasn't gone before. Why don't you can even hold on to it and take a look and tell me, look really carefully. You guys have good eyes. Do you see any of those patterns on that piece of plastic? Look carefully. Bring your eye really close to it. Try not to smudge it too much. And afterwards, people have more of a chance to take a look at this. Okay, so let me take that back from you now. It turns out that you would have to have an electron microscope type eye to be able to see the pattern. You cannot see the pattern on this because the bumps that make up this lens are a micron. And what is the human hair again? I think I've lost the human hair. But basically, well, hold on, no, it's okay. The human hair, the tip of a human hair is 125 microns. So there's 100 bumps on that human hair. On the, like basically, how's it work? 100 bumps on the tip of a human hair is how small the bumps are. And these bumps rearrange the light, so there is no pattern. You can't see it. Basically, these bumps are like traffic cops, and they see the photons coming in, they say, you go over there, you go over there, you go over here, you go over there. And they redirect the light so that on the other side, it forms whatever image you want. Now, this looks cool, but it is also very useful. It is used to make smarter microchips, computer chips, and have you ever seen the iPhone 10? Yeah, okay. So the iPhone 10, during commercials, this dude's like dancing around, and he's buying all types of stuff, and he unlocks the phone with what? Does anybody know what you unlock your... Raise your hand, yes? What's the answer?
Face.
With a face.
Face ID.
It turns out the iPhone 10 not only has one, but as many as 7 lasers on it, and optics like this that help you to be able to do facial recognition. So these lenses are not just cool to look at, but they actually have a very useful purpose because they allow you to be able to open the iPhone 10 with your face. And there's other things too. We're going to hold all questions till the end, okay? All questions till the end. Okay, so now, this is it. We have another video. I have another video to show you guys. And before I do, let me ask you a very critical question. If you're wandering around and you find some material that you don't know what it is, and let's say you're a public safety official, and it could be kind of dangerous, what do you think you use to be able to figure out what it is? Well, I don't hear anybody until they're raising their hands. Yes, you. Well, what do you think you use? Starts with an L? It's what the whole presentation's about? You use a what? Yeah, oh my God! Good job! I'll give you a high five. Hold on. Wow! Here, high five. Awesome job. Good job. These kids. Okay, so you use a laser, and let me show you a video of this going on. Okay. Another company that I work for, makes this. Oh, there we go. Yeah. This is a handheld device. And what it's doing is it's going through plastic and it's telling you what's in the bottle, acetone, or what's in the jar. And you see it goes actually through the plastic, through the glass, and it can tell you that is hexamine. All right? All right, so one of the most popular uses, and we're taking all the questions later at the end, one of the most popular uses of lasers is to talk with people, okay? And what I need is to figure out how that's possible. How can you talk using light? And let me break the question down even further and ask you a question about, if I were to ask you a yes-no question, and all you had was a light switch, what could you do with a light switch to say yes or no? Let's see, who's somebody who hasn't gone already? I don't, yeah, okay, you.
Me?
Yeah, you, yep.
Morse code.
You could maybe use something like Morse code. What would that be like? Explain to the class what that would be like.
So Morse code is like, okay, so Morse code is like, in writing it's lines and dots, but if you use light, a longer flash and a shorter flash mean letters and numbers and symbols and stuff in combination.
Oh my goodness, you were right on the button. In fact, that was the next thing I was going to talk about. I was just hoping for like on is yes and off is no. That's what I was hoping for. But it turns out that there is a whole language. There's a whole language connected with lasers. Now, can anybody translate this? Is there somebody in the room who can translate?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. What does that mean?
Light.
That's exactly right. Now, nobody in this room really knew what that meant. Well, there are a few. Probably the two of you back there can tell. that means light. This is a foreign language. It's a kanji character. Most people can't understand this. Well, there is the language of light as well. Can anyone translate this? What about you guys in that table over there? Can you translate that? No, because it's not kanji characters, it's something else. Okay, yeah, so let's see, who hasn't gone? Yes, Henry, what is that? Oh, you're scratching your head? Okay. Who hasn't gone? I don't think you've gone, right? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, what do you think that is? Right, it is a computer code, and it's also the language of light. And the 0 means off. Let me dramatize, hold on, I'm going to dramatize. Is everybody ready for this? This is a 0. It's off. Okay. This is a 1, which is on. You see that? On, that's on. So if I were to take this first part, it's a little bit like your Morse code, I would go off, on, off, 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 on, off. And anybody know what that letter is? Because that does actually represent a letter. Any guesses as to what letter that is? Yes, you.
Oh.
Good guess, but let me give you a code. So this is a translation of this language, and you can get this online if you want to send information to your friends in what's called binary. You can use this foreign language. So the code is right over here, and that is, you can't really see it very well, is the letter B. So if you translate the whole thing, it translates as Bishop with an exclamation point. Everybody, 1, 2, 3. Bishop with an exclamation point. And each of the off and ons are called a bit. The whole entire thing is called a byte for each of the letters. And if you were to send this information to other people and go like I did, off, on, off, off, on, how long would it take you to communicate a very simple message?
A long time.
A long time. So it's critically important. It is so important that it be able to flash off and on really quickly. And computers control these lasers, and these lasers are designed to turn off and on really, really quickly. So the question is, how many times can I turn a telecommunications laser off and on in 1 second? Any guesses? Any guesses? Let's see here. Who hasn't gone? Yes, you. 2 times per second. That's a good guess. It's a little bit low. Yes, you. 1 time per second. I'm going for higher numbers. Yes, you. 10. You're close, but you're missing a few orders of magnitude. Yes, you. Okay, so we're a little low. No, actually.
A million.
1,000.
It's 10 billion times per second. Okay, and that's 10 billion off and on per second per laser, and that's equivalent to sending 1,000,000 pages of text. 1,000,000 pages of text. And usually there's a whole bunch of lasers, a whole bunch of fibers, so you can send tons and tons of data if you can turn these lasers off and on this quickly. We're going to wait till the end for all the plans. Okay, so that's the one thing, is that light, you have to be able to turn the laser off and on very, very quickly. The other thing is, if I'm going to communicate with somebody at the other end of the planet, and you back there in the black shirt, I can tell you're falling asleep a little bit, so I'm going to ask you a question. If I'm communicating with somebody at the other end of the planet, what is very important about light to make this communication work? And let me give you a hint.
Speed?
No, she has to say it. What is it? Huh? Well, not just energy. It has to be, energy's part, actually you're right, energy's part of it. But the point I'm trying to make is it has to be very, very
Energetic.
fast. Yes, exactly. Good job. It has to be very, very fast. So how fast is light? Does anybody have any guesses? So if people think it's A, 100,000 miles per hour, raise your hand. Who thinks light is 100,000 miles per hour? If folks think that light is 700 million miles per hour, raise your hand. And if you think light is infinitely fast, which means that I turn my laser pointer on and it's there as soon as I turn it on. There's no speed in between. I can send it to the other side of the earth like that. It turns out, and there's very good guesses, infinitely fast is what a lot of people think, but actually light has a speed to it. And it's a very definite speed. That speed is 700 million miles per hour. And that's a big number. But what does that actually mean? What does that actually mean? Has anybody flown in an airplane here? Raise your hand if you've flown in an airplane. Does anybody know how fast an airplane goes, approximately? Yes?
About like 160 miles.
When you're starting off, you're going 150, and yeah, you're getting closer. It's about 550 miles an hour at cruising speed in a commercial airliner.
But you think it's going so slow.
You do, because there's no acceleration. But you're going very, very fast in this airplane, and you cover 1 foot in the airplane. How far does light get in that time? Does it go to the other side of the room, like over there? Does it go to Boston, or does it go to New York? How many people think the other side of the room? Raise your hand.
depends where you are. So where are you?
Well, we're right here. Right here. How many people think we'd be able to go to Boston in that time if we were late? And how many people think we go to New York?
New York.
Yeah, exactly. We go to New York. All right. So then, in 1 second, can light get to A, to China, raise your hand, to around the world, or around the world 7 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, around the world 7 times. You guys got that one. And now we're getting our distances a little further. The moon is 250,000 miles away, very, very far, but light is very, very fast. How long does it take light to get to the moon? How many people think 8 minutes? How many people think 1 minute? How many people think 1 second? So the answer is it takes 1 minute. It takes 1 second. It takes 1 second. I almost messed that up. Okay. So it takes 1.3 seconds to get to the moon. Okay, let's get longer distances. Longer distances now. Okay, now from the sun to the earth, or the earth to the sun, how long does it take? How many people think 8 minutes? How many people think 1 minute? How many people think 1 second? Is the moon and the sun the same distance? No, so probably it's got to be 1 minute or 8 minutes. It turns out it's actually 8 minutes. So this is because the sun is so far away. And here's a crazy thing. Guy with the soccer ball. If the light went out, if the sun went out, and all of a sudden it blew up and didn't exist anymore, how long would it take us to realize that the sun is not there? How many? How long? You can answer it.
4 minutes.
No, well, you just answered it. Anybody know? Yes, go ahead. Well, no, because light takes 8 minutes to get here. So how long would we know till we know? Does anybody know? Yes, you with the yellow and white shirt. Yes. No. Huh? Exactly. The sun could have blown up 8 minutes ago, and we still wouldn't even know it because it takes 8 minutes for the light from the sun to get here to be able to see that it's blown up.
The world is ending.
Yeah, well, it could have ended. The sun could have blown up 7 minutes ago, and we wouldn't even know. Okay, so now let's get to even bigger distances. So the sun is a star, it's our star, but there are stars that are further away. So how long does it take light to go from the closest star to the Earth? Does it take A, 30 minutes? Who thinks 30 minutes? Okay. Oh, yeah, looks like a lot of you guys. 10 days. Or here's a crazy answer. 4 years? Anybody think 4 years? It turns out that it takes 4 years to go from the closest star to the Earth. So here's a crazy idea. When you're looking out at the night sky, the star that you're looking at may no longer be there because, as I said before, it takes 4 years for that light to get from that star to us. You're looking back in time. The light that you're seeing from that star was sent 4 years ago. It's like somebody sent a letter to you and they died, and the letter gets there and that person doesn't even exist anymore because it took that long. So when you look at the night sky, you're looking back in time. Okay, so how much time to the farthest star? Does anybody have any guess? Okay, so let's see. Who hasn't had a chance? Yes, you in the gray shirt. Almost forever. That's a pretty good guess, actually. Little more quantified. Yes, you. Say again. Okay, you with the yellow shirt.
1 light year.
Well, what? So the closest star took 4 light years. So the furthest away star takes how many light years? Okay, well, last guess, and then I'll tell you. Let's see who hasn't answered. Yes, you with the Nike spikes.
200 years.
That's a good guess, but it turns out it takes 13 billion years for the furthest star to get here. Now that star that's 13 billion years away, you have to use a really fancy telescope to see it. But when you look up the night sky, those stars sent their light to us millions of years ago. So you're looking not back in time 4 years, you could be looking back in time millions of years just using your own eyes. That's crazy. Okay. So now the next question is, if I am trying to communicate my zeros and ones, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and there's and people can see it, but then if I put my hand in the way, nobody can see it anymore. If I want to take a message and send it to you, and you're at the other side of the planet or another room, what's the best way to be able to send this information to people? Not through free space, although some people do, but let's see, who hasn't answered yet? Only people who haven't answered the question. Yes, you in the red shirt. With what? A mirror is a great guess. A mirror is a great guess, but you have to put a whole bunch of mirrors all over the place. So what might be another guess? Let me give you a hint. Or Henry, do you want to give it a try?
A video message.
What now?
A video message.
That's an interesting answer. But how do you transmit electricity? Does anybody know how you get electricity from here to your house? Or
Wires.
So you got to raise your hand if you want to have an answer. Yes, you in the back. Say again. Electricity, what's the last part? Say it a little louder.
Wire.
Wires, yes. So there are special types of wires that are made out of this material that can transmit light from here to there. And wires that are made out of metal. Can anybody guess what these special fibers are made out of? Yes.
They're made out of glass.
Glass, yes. And I have one here. Wait, I gotta hop over, kid. Watch out. I'm gonna hop over you. So this is a whole bunch of fiber optics. And have you ever heard of the term FiOS?
Yeah.
So what FiOS stands for, fiber optic service. So there are these fiber optics that are actually coming into your house and giving you information, not to be able to talk, but to be able to watch movies or whatever, and watch this.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah.
So the light is traveling through the fiber and out the other side. And this one, it has different colors.
Like the tip of the hair. I used to have one.
And these fibers are not just this long when you were trying to communicate. These fibers are about 100 miles. And I'll just leave that there. 'Cause that's kind of pretty. So
It is pretty.
people who are talking on cell phones are actually talking using light. And that's a little hard to believe, right? Because I'm talking blah, 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 blah on my cell phone, like this woman over here with no hair. And she's blah, blah, blah on her cell phone, and the information is going through the air to a cell tower. Okay? But then once it reaches the cell tower, and cell towers only work across maybe a mile, a couple of miles if you're lucky, maybe a few miles. But if you want to send the message long distances, it converts it from the information in the cell tower to a fiber. There's a laser down there, a whole bunch of lasers, that send information to a switching station across maybe 100 or a few hundred miles, and then the switching station sends it to another cell tower, and then the information goes through the air to the other cell phone by this other bald woman over here. So the information, ultimately, even when you're on a cell phone, is communicated using light. So cell phones use light, kind of indirectly. And once again, if you're watching a movie today on your TV, most likely you're getting those movies sent to you using light as well. And a lot of people have fibers right to the home if you have FiOS. And we're taking questions at the end, okay? All right, so we talked a bit about a few applications or uses for lasers. Here's some more. Ms. Capaldo loves this one. Playing with cats, although don't blind your cat. Does your cat have safety goggles on when you're playing with them?
No, but I am actually very specific when my friends play with the laser. I'm like, not in their face!
Exactly.
So.
That'd be good. Safety first. All right, so what color are lasers? Can anybody tell me what different colors lasers are? Okay, you in the red shirt. I don't think you've done it. Yes, we definitely have a red laser that I used before. And can anybody else give me some other colors? What other colors? Who has not given me an answer? Okay, you on the iPad over here with the black shirt. Can you give me another color for a laser? Yes, you. You haven't given an answer already, have you? So what color could be lasers? Blue, yes, exactly. Awesome job. Could be blue. Okay, one more. How did you figure that out? That's awesome.
Right there.
Okay, yes, green. Green, yep, green. Okay, so actually lasers can be all the colors of the rainbow.
And even other colors that we can't see.
Oh my goodness! You didn't raise your hand, but you know something that is very interesting. That if you go beyond red, there is something called infrared, which is invisible light that you cannot see. And if you go below purple, there's invisible light that you can't see in that direction too. And actually, oh, by the way, I'll show you a laser with a different color. Here's a nice purple one. Okay? Ooh. So, there are two types of light that you can see, and actually there are many more. How many people believe that there is light that you cannot see? Raise your hand! You guys are like totally gullible. Let me let you have another one. Okay, so I am actually LeBron James. Who believes that one? I'm in a short, bald, yeah, no, I'm in a short, bald white guy suit. That's exactly what's going on. So before you believe something is ridiculous as light that you cannot see, you need to have something like this proven to you, I think. So who wants me to prove to you that there is light that you cannot see? Raise your hands if you want me to prove it. Okay.
Light out.
Okay, so put your hands down. I'm going to ask you a series of very complicated questions. You need to pay attention, but at the end of this all, you will understand that there's light that you cannot see. So really focus. If you're focused on this, these questions will really resonate and allow you to be able to understand that there's light you cannot see. Okay? So the question is, and everybody listen carefully, and you raise your hand if this applies to you, do you poop and pee? So it looks like pretty much everybody poops and pees except for maybe Miss Capaldo, who's not raising her hand. So of those people who poop and pee, how many people have been in a restroom before where you have either turned on the faucet or flushed the toilet or made the paper towel dispenser go without touching it? Has anybody experienced this weird phenomena where you put your hands under the faucet and it works without even touching a knob? When I was a kid, okay, so most people have experienced this. And the reason why is because you all look like this. Anybody guess who that is? No. Raise your hand if this is you. No. There's only one person that it is. I'll point to her. It's you. Yes. Although it's sideways here too. Okay, everybody needs to calm down here. So everybody is a glowing light bulb in the infrared because you give off heat. And the way that those automated paper towel dispensers and faucets all work is that it senses the invisible light coming off of your hands and uses that to be able to turn the faucet on. And later on, if people can stick around, I can actually take pictures of you that look like that. So you guys are all glowing in the infrared. And has anybody ever turned on a TV without touching it? Turns out your remote control also has an infrared, not laser, but an infrared light bulb called an LED. No, so I'm sorry, So I took a special image of that using actually the front of my iPhone camera. All right, so does anybody know why this guy has funny goggles on?
Night vision.
Yes, you in the gold shirt.
To protect the lasers.
Maybe to protect from lasers. Anybody else? Yes, you in the gray? Huh? Was that? Well, to see that light that's connected with heat, so you can see people running around, or you can get signals in light that you cannot see so that the soldier can see it. Turns out that lasers are mostly invisible. And I work for a couple different companies that make invisible lasers. The lasers are used in telecommunications that are invisible. There are lasers that are used in special signaling that are invisible. There are lasers that are used in laser machining, like that machine that cut, that are invisible. And it turns out you can take images even of the rainbow, and if you have a special camera, you can see the infrared or the ultraviolet. Now, does anybody know that the ultraviolet is very dangerous? Does anybody know what you can use to protect yourself from this invisible light that can burn your skin? Anybody know? Let's see who has an answer. You in the white and green? You have an answer. Yes, exactly. Sunscreen. It's this magical stuff called sunscreen. So when you put it on, you can look through and you can see stuff underneath. But the sunscreen actually blocks all of the ultraviolet radiation. And it turns out that the amount of light that is invisible to you is much larger than the amount of light that's visible. You see this teeny little crack here? That is all of the visible spectrum, and all the rest of this stuff is invisible stuff. Now, what is the difference between light that you cannot see and light you can see, or between red and green and blue? And before you answer that, I'm going to give you a hint. Okay? This is my sonic laser, so prepare yourself. You may want to cover your ears. Does everybody hear this? Yeah. Okay, now touch this. What do you think's happening? Touch it. Yes, exactly. So to create noise, there is vibration, which creates something that looks like this. Does anybody know what that is? Yes? Yes, exactly. Sound wave. Sound wave travels through the air, and depending upon whether you have this vibration, which is lower, or this vibration, which is higher, that determines what sound you get out. And it's the same thing with light. the higher the wavelength, the further on this side of the spectrum it is. So red light has got a longer wavelength than purple light, which has a shorter wavelength. And part of the reason why ultraviolet's so dangerous is that the vibrations are very, very fast. All right, so I think it is time for our grand finale. You always need a musical number to end any presentation, so here we go. I'm going to sing it first, and then you guys join in. Okay, here we go. The lonely photon becomes a mighty team. I'm a photon, a lonely photon, but I'm really, really fast. I can go to the moon in under 2 seconds flat. As the game medium becomes excited, I am joined by lots of friends. We're bright as the dawn as we bounce in our echelon. Our wavelength is our color. We are infrared. This means you cannot see us, but we're real as a platypus. We're injected into a fiber optic. We modulate under the ocean blue so we can deliver this binary message. This message to you. We're the photons. Mighty photons. We are a coherent team. That is because we come from a laser and are a laser beam. Okay, everybody together. We'll do it one more time. Mr. McInerney is going to take a solo. Come on, here we go. You're up. Everybody together, or you want to try it?
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. So everybody together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm a photon, a lonely photon, but I'm really fast. I can go to the moon in under 2 seconds flat. As the game becomes excited, I am joined by lots of friends. We're bright as the dawn, as we bounce in our echelon. Our wave is our color. We are infrared. This means you cannot see us, but we're real as a platypus. We're injected into a fiber optic. We modulate under the ocean blue so we can deliver this binary message, this message to you. We're the photons, mighty photons. We are a coherent team. That is because we come from a laser and are a laser beam. All right, so we have exactly 3 minutes for questions now. Any questions? Okay, you first.
It's actually, is the light coming out of the projector invisible light?
Can you see it?
Yes.
Can you see it?
I can see it. It's like the laser, you can't see it in the middle. I can see it.
That's exactly, okay, so you, two very interesting points here. Let me address those 2 points. Number one, the light coming from the projector you can see because it hits the screen and then it comes to your eyes. If it doesn't hit something and get directed to your eyes, you cannot see it. But it does still exist, so if I put my hand here, you can see the light. The sun has light that you cannot see that comes out of it. That's the reason why when you, that is the reason why a rainbow, when you take an image with a special type of camera, you can actually see the light from the sun that's both in the ultraviolet, the infrared, and it has other spectrums as well that you can't see easily also. So the bulb inside that projector may give off a little bit of light you cannot see, but most of it's in the visible spectrum. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes, next question, the pink. A little louder, I can hear you. You gotta really shout it out. The back of what? I can't, can you repeat what you
She said
said?
it's back a few slides.
Okay, so let's go back a few slides. Hold on. We there? Describe it to me so I can go back to.
It's like bottles. Yeah, but
Oh, yeah, no, that was the big. Yeah, so what's your question about?
What's one of the bottles called that like was on the picture?
What were the bottles called?
Like what was in one of the bottles?
Oh, hexamine. Yeah, so
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, it's used in campfire. When you're cooking, when you're camping, it's used as an accelerant to make things. But let me say a few things about this, actually, because I didn't say it during the presentation. The way this works is it sends out a laser beam at a very specific wavelength. The light goes through the glass, hits the material, comes back, and only a little bit of light comes back at a slightly different set of wavelengths. And using that information, you can tell what that material is, and that's called spectroscopy. And you can actually look at the stars, and if you split apart the light, you can actually tell what materials are in stars that are millions of light years away. Okay, London, yes, you're up.
Remember that you showed us some vibration? I realized that my water bottle vibrates.
Really? And that's why it makes noise.
It vibrates.
That's cool. Okay, you in the gold shirt. Or actually, you already asked the question, so you in the gray shirt. Yeah.
It's time for us to
That's fine.
head down to the
Okay, all right. So thank you very much, guys. And